Welcome back to the Bitter Betty podcast. I'm Bitter Betty Deadhead here with my two cohorts.
Bitter Betty Tova.
And Bitter Betty Carol with an E.
And today we're back here. We're going to check out Ren's Chapter 1. Kelly T asked us to check these out. We were already planning on doing it, but it makes it a little bit more special because one of our girls that follows us a lot, she asked us to come check it out as well. So we're excited about this.
Yes, Kelly T.
Absolutely.
She's been like a day oneer. She's been just always riding with the Bettys.
Yeah.
I love her. So thanks, Kelly. Shout out to Kelly T.
And Ren, my brain literally just stopped.
Okay.
That happens to me all the time.
We were going to watch these, and then we're like, no, we gotta save them for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so here we go. Y'all ready?
Let's go.
Hello, everyone. This is the first time I've done something like this before. I wanted to write it down because there's a lot and I didn't want to miss anything. And some parts of this might be a little bit uncomfortable to listen to, but I wanted to stay as true as possible to the story, not miss anything, for the sake of people who might be going through something similar, or for the sake of people who don't, but want to help understand a little bit more. Yeah. I promise that everything in this story is 100% true. Nothing is exaggerated for dramatic effect. Some names I don't mention and some details I don't go too far into or downplay them for the sake of the people around me. Timelines might occasionally be a little bit off, but that's just because I've had to write everything from memory from a time that was quite hazy. I asked before embarking on this journey with me that you all respect the privacy of myself and the people around me. You might be compelled to reach out to some of the people that I mention, cast judgment, praise them, criticize them, and I ask you kindly not to. It's my choice to be in the public eye, and it's mine alone. This is the first time my story is on the public record in a concise way. Being in the public eye is strange. The more that I give to you, the less that I get to keep for myself. I don't find the experience of sharing particularly enjoyable. I don't so much like the questions that follow. And I'm not a medical expert, so I don't like to be seen as somebody with all the answers, because I don't have them. And because of the empathy that I feel, I'm compelled to try and help as many people as possible. But the last time I opened myself up to this on a one-on-one basis, I was surrounded by a lot of death. And there simply weren't enough hours in the day. So I ask you, if you need support, please reach out to a professional or use my music as your companion. I share my story in hopes that somebody who needs it finds it, that it provides hope, that it might ease the suffering for the people like me. I like my solitude, so I ask that anyone who respects the work I make and respects my contribution to the world to respect my solitude. A lot happened in my teenage years, and I didn't live the most normal of lives, but I'll save that story for another time. The important thing to contextualize this story is that I was full of life. I was full of a burning desire to change the world. The flaws in how we interact seemed obvious to me. I believed in people's power to change the unnecessary suffering we inflict upon ourselves. I was also enamored with music. Music is the closest thing to God that I have. It's a gateway to the unexplainable, and it's a way of communicating the inexpressible. There's just one moment that I want to share with you from the years before I got sick. I was 17 and I felt indestructible. I'm not sure why, but my whole life I had this feeling inside myself that I was meant to do something important, not for myself, not for praise, not for personal gain, but something that would change the world for the better. It's hard to describe it without coming across like an egomaniac or having some sort of God complex, but I felt like I had some sort of divine purpose. And I remember feeling this so strongly that one afternoon after school, I stood in the center of my bedroom and I spoke loud into an empty void. I said that I would single-handedly take on and defeat the forces of evil, and I welcomed them to try their best. Throughout the years, that memory stuck with me, taunting me sometimes. Flash forward to 2019. I remember the first day I knew something was wrong very well. I woke up in an unfamiliar room in Cardiff, feeling like a raven had perched itself upon my heart. Every time my heart beat, it's like some part of me was aware of the foreboding death sentence that was to come. Some sort of primal instinctive dread. Everything felt wrong, and I felt prosthetic, like I could tear my own skin off and observe though I was watching passively from another room. The night before, I'd been in Cardiff visiting friends in university. It was the end of summer, we'd gone out to a few bars. I wasn't really enjoying myself. That year I'd been struggling with social anxiety, perhaps from years of abusing my brain with a whole pick and mix and selection of party drugs. Engaging with society felt like stepping into the ring with a heavyweight champion. Every single fucking question felt like an oncoming haymaker I had to socially navigate because of my very limited toolkit of charisma at the time. I don't know why I cared about being liked so much, but the more I cared, the less equipped I became to have a simple human conversation. I used to deal with this by getting fucking hammered. That night was no exception. I got smashed, lost my phone, and woke up in a strange apartment. In the bed opposite mine was a snoring rugby player and his girlfriend. Everything just seemed off, and it wasn't a hangover. My first thought was I'd been spiked. I quietly gathered all my belongings and left before anyone could wake up and punch me with a conversation. I wandered around a grey Cardiff in a haze, feeling like I've just been rigged up to an IV bag full of ketamine and cyanide, and the whole world just seemed off, like I was looking at it through a tunnel. A heavy feeling of fear clung around me like a straitjacket. The only comforting thought was that with enough time, rest and water, it would pass. But it didn't. For 8 long years, it didn't. And this is my story of an 8-year-long nightmare. I returned back to my dad's home. He was living with his partner at the time. It wasn't my home, so I already felt uncomfortable and out of place. These unusual symptoms persisted. I figured I'd caught some sort of virus and I'd get better with time. But by the end of the week, things were a lot worse. I took myself to the doctor and he said he thought it sounded viral, that if I went home and got enough rest, it would eventually pass. And it didn't. For 8 years, it didn't. I returned for my second year of university. My brain was full of fog and my body felt poisoned. There were intermittent days where I felt like a hollow suit of skin. I'd sit in lectures unable to focus and was devoid of any sort of personality. I'd be able to have basic conversations, yeses and nos, but I was stripped of the ability to think spontaneously. It's like my body was taking up so much processing power being sick that I could not have original or spontaneous thought. The most peculiar thing about this was there was a me that was aware that this was all happening and was observing it from outside of myself, locked out, screaming silently, banging on the walls of my mind to be let in, and never successfully. And nonetheless, there I was, like a ghost haunting myself. My usual routine was getting home, running a shower and curling up into a ball to cry underneath the running water, not understanding what was going on. I brought myself to the doctors numerous times during this period, requesting every blood test they'd let me have, often being dismissed and told things like stress from university can cause strange symptoms. But how come no one I knew in university could relate to this? Eventually I was put on a 6-month-long waiting list to see a mental health specialist who did a short 1-page questionnaire and wrongly diagnosed me as hypercycling bipolar and put me on a course of citalopram. After a few weeks it stole my ability to sleep. I was told to stick it out and it would level out and eventually I'd feel more like myself. I stuck it out and I got worse, and I pulled myself off it after 2 weeks in a row of sleepless nights and insomnia. There's something pretty peculiar about being told you're in some sort of spectrum of madness. Even if you suspect that you're mad, your diagnosis finds a way to claw itself into your identity even if it doesn't belong to you. Ever since I was a child, I'd always be asking what and why and how things worked. I couldn't really accept things as they were without knowing how. I carried into my adult years, and so as the bipolar hammer crashed and sentenced itself into my reality, I began searching online for behaviours associated with it, people's first-hand experiences, what it felt like to be manic. In these earlier days of my illness, the symptoms would fluctuate in severity day by day. Some days I'd be in a thick, tired fog, and other days they'd be more merciful. I began to associate the days of not suffering as mania and would act more erratically on the days that my symptoms were less bothersome. I did things like climbing out of windows of a 6-story student accommodation or get so drunk I'd wake up outside of the university campus lawn. But it wasn't mania. I just wasn't hurting. I spent 1 day a week with my therapist, who was teaching me cognitive behavioural therapy. The issue was, mentally reframing unexplainable symptoms caused a lot of cognitive dissonance for me. I was told my anxiety or depression was causing my symptoms, but in reality it was my symptoms which were making me anxious and depressed. So I was in some sort of inescapable bind. I'd devotedly work on my mental health, following every new tool for coping to the letter, only to have my symptoms get worse, which made me frustrated, raise the intensity of my treatment, only to get even more frustrated as my body seemed to deteriorate. After 6 months, I told my mum I'd happily saw off my own leg with a blunt knife if it meant my symptoms would vanish, and I meant it. I told her if I had to live with this strange feeling for 1 more year, I'd kill myself, and I meant that too. But something happened that winter which showed me firsthand the horrors and the fallout from suicide. I met Joe when I was 9 years old. I remember the first time clearly. I was standing in his living room and he turned to me and he was like, "Watch this." Then he proceeded to climb on top of his sofa and did a front flip onto a stone living room floor. He landed on his back and lay motionless for a few seconds before grinning, getting up, and then doing it all over again. We grew up terrorising the streets of the small village we grew up in, playing knock door run or breaking into people's gardens to play on their trampolines. We stayed friends throughout high school, going through various phases together. Joe was comedian of the group. I remember countless mornings after messy all-nighters, Joe would be cracking endless jokes like a professional stand-up routine, and we'd all be in tears laughing. When I started writing my first songs, Joe and Sega were the first people who always knew every word, and they would sing along at the top of their lungs. They gave me a lot of self-belief, and they helped me build the foundation of what I do today, and I owe them a lot for that. That Christmas, I came back home to Wales from university. On Christmas Eve, me and Joe were sat in a pub, and he turned to me, and he told me that he'd fantasized about walking into the sea until he was totally submerged. He had a pretty morbid sense of humour, so I didn't really take him as seriously as I should have. 2 days later, it's 3 a.m, and I get a phone call. It's my friend Ella. She tells me that Joe is on the bridge by my house. He was drunk, he'd called her up, and he told her he was going to jump. I was still half asleep. I fumbled, pulling on whatever clothes I could that were near, and I walked out of the front door, and the winter air stung my face, and it woke me up. Adrenaline kicked in, and I started sprinting towards the bridge. It was about a 5-minute walk, a 2.5-minute sprint. As I was running, I dialed Joe's number, and I get a busy tone, and I felt relief because it meant he was still alive. I kept hitting redial as I ran, and as I got about halfway to the bridge, the busy tone changes. I get an automated voice note saying the number's out of service, and my heart sunk. I got to the suspension bridge that connects Anglesey to the mainland, and it usually looks very beautiful. I sprint up and down the bridge yelling Joe's name, and silence, and it's deafening. And I peer over the bridge into the blackness, and the bridge sits about 100 feet above the water. Hitting cold water at that height is like smashing into concrete. And the waters are notoriously dangerous because of the cross current. I hear nothing, no sounds, nothing. I run up and down the bridge about 2 times before I spot a figure at the end of it, and my heart jumps into my throat, and I run towards the figure, and it's my friend Ricky who's had the same call, and we both run around up and down the bridge and around the surrounding area looking for Joe. More of his friends eventually arrive, and there's nothing. I was about a minute too late. We spent the next week walking up and down beaches with flashlights, and when it's that dark, every other large rock starts to look like a washed up body. We plastered all the neighbouring towns in missing posters, contacting whoever we could, someone who might know something. We checked bank records to see if any money had been withdrawn since he went missing. There was CCTV footage of him walking onto the bridge, but there wasn't any of him coming off. But there were dead zones in the footage, so there was still a small chance he could be alive. I was sleeping about 3 hours a night, pretty determined that we'd still find him. For about 10 days we had nothing, and then suddenly a call comes through while we're all at my friend Miles's house having food. It's the police. A body had been found in the water by the bridge. We piled into my friend's car. I remember being in the back seat in floods of tears, repetitively punching the back of the passenger seat as we drove to the scene. As we pull up, I saw a lifeless body being zipped up into a green bag near a parked ambulance. Its skin was bloated by the seawater, and it wasn't Joe. Someone else decided to jump that day. Joe was never found. It's difficult to truly let go when you can't say goodbye. For months following, I held on to this fantasy that we'd get a call that he'd run away to some European town, and he was happy and he was healthy. But that call never came. The time during his inquest was also around the time I was struggling with the side effects of a new antidepressant. I remember sitting in the courtroom feeling like I was listening to the whole thing deep underwater. The judge felt the circumstances surrounding Joe's death didn't mean The judge felt that the circumstances surrounding Joe's death meant that the verdict was left open. It kind of stung even more to not have an official ruling of suicide. I remember going to visit his mum not long after and witnessing the aftermath of a mother grieving for her baby boy. The silence of his father, the tears of his mother. I decided that day that I'd have to wait until my illness killed me because I couldn't do it by choice. I couldn't put my family through that. Over the next 10 years, I returned to my hometown, only a handful of times following Joe's death. My last visit was in the summer of last year. I reconnected with Joe's parents and showed them a song that I'd written, simply entitled For Joe. We cried together, reminisced together, joked, and I'm proud to say that I gave Joe's mum enough money to afford a caravan she told me she'd been saving up for. That felt pretty good. We'd also do a fundraiser for the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, who were integral for searching for Joe during that time, and we raised a pretty good amount of money too. Being able to give back in whatever small way I could felt good, and it felt right for all the years Joe had made us all laugh till it hurt. He was a solid person, just a little lost, as we all are sometimes. And I miss him. Life was about to take an even more unusual turn, and I was about to meet the first angel of this story. So stay tuned for that. It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk, there's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you, absurd, fuck. Another domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings they fly the farthest, so I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
Mm.
Okay, I did not want to be crying, but I had a feeling I might have been.
Yeah. Like, damn, that was a heavy first chapter.
You know, it's something I picked up on, and I don't know if y'all really paid attention to that part or not, but he said in the story that uh, if after Joe died, he knew that he could never do that to himself to put his
Yeah.
family through that. So Joe
Yeah.
saved his life because he
Yeah.
said that he was going to kill himself if he didn't get better.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
and
and
I definitely caught that, and I definitely relate to that sentiment.
Yeah.
I think right now this is just hitting a little harder for me.
Yeah. I know.
Due to
Yeah.
because even like if you think about it, and guys, stay tuned later, you'll figure out what we're talking about. But even if you think about like the situation at hand with mine, it's very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. At least the end result is, right?
Yeah.
So
No, for
yeah.
sure.
That was a little rough, especially coming
Yeah.
off the week I had. That was a bit rough. So
I want to give Carol a big hug right now. Wish I could. I'm gonna give it to you in
Yeah.
September.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Uh, but
That
yeah,
was tough.
yeah, and it like even like the story leading, like I thought the song was beautiful, both, right? But I didn't think I'd ever listen to it again because it was so hard the
No.
first time.
Same. I said
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna listen to it again.
It
And
hits harder though with the context
With the
behind
story,
it.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like I was already crying before the
Yeah.
song came on.
Same.
So like,
Yeah.
all right, damn it, Ren.
Mm.
But I appreciate his vulnerability and
I'm not gonna.
sharing.
I'm not gonna lie
You
though.
know,
Part 2 scares me because if I remember correctly, well, no, actually, this song was actually the third one, wasn't it? Freckled Angels was the first one, right?
Record Angels was the first one. This was the second.
No,
Last
this was
one.
the last one.
this was the latest
So
one he
Yeah.
did.
is Suicide gonna be next? Because I don't know if I can handle that one again.
I have no
Oh,
idea.
I don't know.
I don't know. Or if he's just gonna go more into his
Maybe.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might have just been given the Joe context and all of that, and why, like, maybe why he never ended it. In essence,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know from his interview and stuff, everything he's talked about, what he went through, and I know we watched that video when he was younger, and he thought he was gonna die,
Yeah.
we did that before we watched the Sick Boy video. And then you think about the Sick Boy song and everything he was kind of talking about with stuff that I remember hearing in that song as well. And it's just I love that and I hope he continues this kind of trend of like talking about his life and what he went through, and then how his music corresponds with that, because I've always said my favorite artist, their music is like a diary, and
Yeah.
Ren's is literally like he's told us everything, just maybe not in the context we'd be used to, but it's cool that he's doing this,
And
it's got to be hard.
And when he does, like I love hearing him just talk though, because he's such a good storyteller. Even at his
Oh,
own, it's his own story, but he's so good, like at putting the words together, and he puts so much emotion. And I know that's an emotional subject that he'll probably never ever get over.
No, yeah, and he's just he's so descriptive. He knows how to paint a picture with words.
Yes.
Tom is very much the same way, and that's what I love about their music specifically is, and what is such a talent is when you can literally paint a picture with the words you're saying, and people can see the song as well as like hear it. And Ren does that with everything he does. But man, I
What I
could
was gonna.
just.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say
Go ahead.
I could listen to him read an entire novel and just be like
Yeah.
mesmerized.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say too is what I think makes like pulls like the Wrens and the Toms and the Adams and some of them apart from the others too, is that even with their music, and they have their storytelling, but even just in general, right? When they're talking or addressing things, they're very
Mhm.
genuine. And
Mhm.
that makes a difference. It makes it easier to have a connection with somebody that is very genuine.
Yeah,
And I think that that's one of the biggest things that like pulls me towards Ren. Like anything he does, so he can be very cheeky, in songs,
hmm,
but then he can be very serious in songs. He could just be rapping because he wants to rap. He pays homage. Like he just does all these different things. And
yeah,
when you pull all that together, he just seems like an overall just genuine person. Like
Yes.
somebody
yeah,
you could just sit down and have a conversation with and feel comfortable, right? Like
yeah,
that's the vibe he gives me. And so that
Yeah. He
yeah,
gives off the I love life, I love people, I love you all. I don't care what you look like. I don't care who you are. I love you. And
yes.
yeah,
that's hard. That's hard because there's some people who that's a hard one for, you know what I mean? So, he's a very
yeah.
special person.
He is.
I agree.
He is definitely a light in the darkness for sure.
Yes,
We need more
absolutely.
Wrens. We need more Wrens in this
Yeah.
world.
Well, and I'm
Absolutely.
so glad he realized his potential when he had that feeling in the beginning of I am meant for something great, because he is exactly right. He was meant to do something
And
great, and he will change the world.
I still think that he should be bigger than he is. So,
I think he will be. I think he's on his way slowly but surely. And as long as he stays true to his heart the way he has been, yeah.
yeah.
Like he's already picking up steam in the US, I feel like
Oh
and I
yeah.
think with the reaction channels spreading him around, I think it's just a matter of time, honestly. I think it's just taken longer because he came from, the UK. And but I think, I mean, his talent is undeniable. I like anybody who can't see the talent. I just don't like
I don't
I
get
don't
it.
know what kind of
It's like
music you listen to.
clean your ears out cuz come on, you don't
Well,
hear.
and if you don't like rap, that's cool because he sings too.
He sings
And
a
you
lot.
don't
He
like,
all
yeah,
kinds
if
of
you like some
things.
oldies, he's got some covers. Like, I mean, there's his music is there's such a variety within his musical catalog that it's just,
He's like kind of like Tommy's his own genre.
yeah,
Own
and
lane.
I love that. Well, and that's I literally am obsessed with like unique artists like this who have something to say.
Mhm.
It's like I just some of the stuff that people talk about is just like wah wah. Like I love when somebody has something real to say. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I'm one too. I could sit here and probably think of 1,000 different reasons to continue to dote on Ren.
Yeah,
But like at the same time, I want to tell people like go check him out. Like don't let me tell you, right? Like
Let
if
me
yeah.
you're
tell you.
new
Go
to
see for
Ren,
yourself.
like go check out Ren. Like go listen to him, listen to an interview, listen to him talk some more,
Yeah,
listen to a song. Like, I was listening to Uninvited in my car,
We love
and
that
then
song.
we do. And then we actually had a reaction that we did that got lost in the damage of the hard drive.
mhm.
And I downloaded that song. It was like what, 9 years old. And hold on,
Oh,
that's the name of it. I
yes.
love
Oh
that
yeah,
song.
I could
Like
have went back to that.
I listen
that
to
was
that
definitely a
song
good
like
one.
all the time. I love that song. It's in my phone. Like right now, if I pull up my phone and show you guys, it's probably the first song that pops up. Hold on. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Let's go to my library. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, hold on. Hold on. You guys see it right there? It's right there. I listened to that song. Oh, look right underneath it there. There's Adam Calhoun and Tom McDonald. Like
Yes,
they're all right there. But yeah, I mean,
yes,
I just I don't know. I adore Ren. I think he's a
yeah,
cutie patootie, and his story is
And
amazing and what he's overcome.
I really
And
thank Tova for introducing us to Ren because he's become a top like 2 or 3 for me. I can't decide still. I'm still between him and Falling in Reverse, but
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be Ren for me. Sorry, Ronnie. But like,
there's days there's days I'm like it's Ren, and there's days I'm like it's Ronnie, and then I'm like no, it's Ren, and I'm like fuck it, they're just tied.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
Ronnie and Ren are pretty neck and neck, honestly, because I have a special place for Ronnie also because like I really get the mental health struggles and stuff that he talks about in his music, and just like his just whole Ronnie. Ronnie is Ronnie, and he's special, but Ren is special, and Tom is very special. Tom will always be my number one. Like
yeah,
nobody's
Tom's
ever
my
gonna
number
kick
one for
Tom out of
sure.
that number one place. Like that's
Yeah,
the
for
homie. Like
yeah, nope, I'm the
you know.
same.
It
I
with
just think it's hilarious that I brought Falling Reverse to Tova, okay?
Yeah.
But like, and I was just like, hey, check out these songs. I love this band, blah, 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 blah. And I literally probably only have, and if you ever see this, Ronnie, I probably only have about 5 Falling in Reverse songs in my phone. So, because I just don't always connect with every single song. So, like,
Yeah.
I have like top 5 songs that I will listen to over and over and over and over and over again. But then, like, after that, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, sure, it's good, but like, yeah, okay. Like, so, what I like more than anything is to watch Ronnie, like on his,
Roast himself.
whatever. Yes. Or, yes. Like, I like to watch Ronnie talk, or I like
Yeah.
to, he's an amazing person, but I don't want to get off track on
he's a
get talking
comedian,
about Ronnie, but
but see,
No,
and
yeah.
that's with Ren though. It's like he's I don't know. See, that's where I'm at though, because with Ren, there's so much, and I relate to a lot of Ren with things in my life. So like, mm, so that's why I think Ren would probably be my number 2, because Tom will always be my number 1, just like y'all said. But it's more than just the music for me with Tom. So
Yeah.
well, we have more of a personal connection with Tom, so
yeah,
that's what kind of makes that different.
Yeah.
So, but not to take anything away from Ren, but that's why.
yeah,
But that all 3 of us have that connection, and that's also
Yeah.
who brought us all together. So there's just a big whole part of
Yeah.
Tom that goes separate. That
Yeah.
that's.
Well, it's like
But
I
yeah,
mean, we have talked to Tom on a regular basis for years now. It's like
yes,
Tom is someone we know in a sense, like know
right.
fairly well, better than the regular, like the average person, I guess, right? Who's not like a
yes,
super fan or whatever. But like,
But
whereas
yeah, but
I don't know Ren personally, but like I feel like I've gotten to know him pretty well
right,
through his music, through
same.
his interviews and stuff. But like, I would love like I could sit down, just give me an hour with Ren
Mhm.
to have an interview. Because I have so many other questions,
Yeah.
like just about the music in general,
and then a
like in
cocktail
the
after.
process and
No,
No, she wants to
definitely
Toblerone after.
cocktail. I want a cocktail of Toblerone.
Speaking of Toblerones, we have a your old face. No, we have a shirt on our website that's Toblerone. You'll have to go check it out. It's our
It's pretty good.
slogan winner. Gave me the he said that.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
yeah, that thing.
My brain's not braining today.
Oh no! Oh god!
Oh, that's
Yeah, and
that's
it's funny
great.
what it says on the back.
Yeah, it says it's not about the dangle, it's about the angle of the tri-wangle.
I love it. I love it. You guys go
Yeah.
go check out the Bitter Betty podcast store. We've got lots of fun shirts over there, and
Yeah.
things for you to go check it out. We got some shirts, we got hoodies.
Yeah,
We got
the
hats.
We got everything.
the Bitter
Coffee
Betty
mug.
OG shirts are about to be discontinued. I'm leaving it up for a little bit longer, so y'all go over there and get you one. If not, then
Yeah.
y'all won't be able to get them here soon.
No, yeah. If you want to be considered a BBPOG, gotta go cop that shirt. Because it's not going to be available any other time ever again.
That's
So,
right. And
don't-
so, you guys, go check it out. Go get your shirts. Come on. It helps support the
Go.
channel.
Go right
So,
now.
help support the channel because we have
Come
something
on.
special coming up in the months. You guys are going to want to help support the channel.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yep.
Renegades.
We got a lot of cool things coming. So
yes. So stay tuned.
Can we announce something?
yeah.
What are we announcing?
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday,
Definitely.
May 10th.
Friday.
Carol's birthday is May 7th, which is in 2 days. And May 10th, we're going to have a birthday live for Miss Carol.
Live. Yes.
It's gonna
So
be fun.
y'all
Lots
be sure
of
to come
games.
by and say hi.
Yes. We'll probably have a special announcement that Friday too. So you might want to come over and say hi.
Woo, woo,
So,
woo.
yes, it'd be nice. Y'all can come say hi, play some games. We'll be there.
Come hang out.
Yes. And so that was what read chapter 1. We will be doing the rest of the chapters. So stay tuned for those. And until then, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified anytime we drop or go live May 10th. And then we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.